All right. This is AP, owner and founder of You Thrive Coaching. So today is a special topic. We're going to be talking about women and the men's. Okay. Very controversial topic right now. There's a lot going on out here in these sexual streets.
Marketplace.
Yes. So I have a very special guest. Please introduce yourself and let the people know where you're at.
Well, my name is Ken Washington, but I'm uh, more well known by my artist name, Chuck Damen. And I'm a Chicago born and raised. I spent a little time down in Atlanta, like every Black folk must do at some point. But born and raised Chicago, Illinois, Inglewood. And now I'm an artist and an activist and I'm a lot of things. I'm a minister to some, but I really just I'm a Renaissance man, if you will. So
That's it. Okay, so I want to start off by first getting your perspective on what in a perfect world, you know what I'm saying, in your world,
mm-hmm.
what does the male and female dynamic look like at its healthiest
It is healthiest.
by your
Well, yeah, it's really obviously every male and every female are unique individuals, and so it's really about finding someone who you can agree on what works for the individuals. But generally speaking, I think it's about a balance, achieving a balance, right? And the man's role and responsibilities is leadership, protection, provision, of material things, security, those types of things. The woman is her role is kind of to kind of set the stage for the building of a family, right? Because I think that's one of the things that gets missed is that you go from a baby, a dependent individual, to a child struggling to get your independence, to a young adult, firmly proclaiming that you don't need anybody, anything, and then you move to a level of maturity where you understand it's about interdependence, And I think it's the woman's job to help the man understand fully his role and responsibility to the world through his relationship with her, and then and thusly through children. And it's the woman's role and responsibility to kind of make sure that the man understands fully and what it looks like to create a world that's suitable for her to live in, for her to raise children in, and I think that's one of the main responsibilities. Now I have to look at it from that perspective because I'm a man, so I see it from the viewpoint of a man. But it's really life is hard, but also it's a certain level of beauty, and I think that the relationship between a man and a woman is the soil for where a lot of that beauty grows from, and so it's important for a man to fully understand himself by how he's viewed by a woman, who he trusts, and who knows him, so it's a lot of layers there, but it's really about taking care of each other, helping each other. I believe that love is help, and so a man and a woman helping each other along the way in this journey in life is really what our responsibilities are to each other.
right. And so that's a beautiful picture. It is. It's a beautiful picture. And so in our times right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel that this has been thrown off of balance? You know what I'm saying? Like why is it so much animosity between the females and the males right
Well, I think it's a byproduct of the type of culture that we live in, right? And it's really a symptom, just like a lot of things that we societal ills, if you will. But poor male female dynamics is based on the fact that, just like with pretty much everything, there's a certain level of competition that's present in everything within our society because of the way it's structured, like because of capitalism and certain components of how democracy works. It's a direct competition where it's choose the way I want things to be done versus the way this person does things and wants things to be done. And so it's always this battle for control because of that. Everybody, and it stems from, like, okay, we live in a society where it's capitalism, and who gets the most resources is the winner, right? And so that creates a certain level of individuality, selfishness, and that competitiveness being there it's not really conducive to promoting healthy interpersonal relationships, unless they within the confines of a system or institution that has clearly defined rules in place, right? Because without that, you're leaving it up for everybody else to go on their own whims and their beliefs, and so forth and so on. And so generally you see healthy relationships between men and women come out of these institutions. Like, a lot of people meet they love of their life in the school, or in church, or in some place like that, because this place has inherent rules set up that govern how things are supposed to go, and so those individuals are following it. And out here in the wild west in society, it doesn't work like that, and so you see less success because there's no sort of foundation that you building on, for to just promoting healthy interpersonal dynamics, relationships.
now.
I
So
think that's a key.
are you saying that there should be rules
Yes, there
that
have to be rules.
everybody
There
follow?
have to be rules. So the universe operates based on rules, right? Nature has rules. There's laws, that govern physics and science and the way everything operates. And so for us to think that we can just move around without any rules is ridiculous, and we're going to find ourselves opposed to nature, opposed to science, is opposed to the natural order of things, because we're not paying attention to the fact that there's laws, there's boundaries, there's regulations that must be in place. And so without those, it's like anybody can move the goalpost and say, well, this is what it's supposed to be. Well, that it should be like this. But if we have a standard that says that this is what it's supposed to be, and I just adhere to that, is we judge everybody else on their adherence to that, as opposed to their adherence of something that we was given or just decided to pick up at some point. Like
Wow.
fairy tales.
What's wrong with fairy tales?
Well, I mean, the whole thing is, if you're Sleeping Beauty, right? That's cool, but I don't know that you're Sleeping Beauty, because I might have a different set of rules that, you know what I'm saying. So I'm looking like, this bitch not doing shit. So I'm not gonna come wake you up out of your slumber because I can't believe that you sleep. But if I knew the story of Sleeping Beauty, then maybe I would come and, oh, all I have to do is kiss her and she'll come. But see, the whole thing is that we don't know. I don't know that you operating with those narratives. Like, so that's the whole thing. We got to have the same set of metrics and criteria for what's supposed to happen and what's the right way to do things. And so that's the main thing that's missing. Like, our grandparents, they was in the church, and so that it was that institution that had these rules built in place, and then you had all these other people that peer pressured people to operate a certain way, and they shacking up, what I'm saying? So, like, that, look how she dressed, she ain't nobody's wife, that type of thing kept a dude from marrying a woman in the past. Now it's like, you look on Instagram and you see some dude, what I'm saying, holding the camera for his woman dressed like that. And so it's like, is this what we supposed to follow? That's the thing. Is no clear cut agreed to way of operating, because we're not building on the foundation of anything like an institution or a religious faith or a doctrine of, our goals. So that's the core thing. That looks a lot of different ways, but at the core, I think that's really what it is.
I agree.
Ooh.
I'm sitting here like I agree. What I think would change a lot of dynamics is number one, if everybody is being themselves, right? Because
Absolutely.
as we are fractal pieces of source itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are expressions of source, then that means we came to express ourselves in a certain way. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And
Mm-hmm.
so things that are meant to come to you will only come to you if you are living in your true expression. And so I think that a lot of times when we have this dynamic with lovers, so to speak, everybody's presenting their best front,
Exactly.
you know what I'm
Exactly.
saying, in the beginning. And so then that creates an illusion. And then, as you're saying, we're not stepping into this thing saying, yo, so what are your thoughts on male and female dynamic? You know what I'm saying?
And
What
we
do you
saying what we
feel?
got to say to get that person to move along this process with us or whatever we trying to get from them, generally speaking. Like,
Exactly. And asking both parties, both parties having the conversation of in their mind, what does the female role look like? What does the male role look like? And if we are in alignment with these thoughts, you know what I'm saying? So a self-governship of rules between the couple is what
mm-hmm.
matters. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? 'Cause,
Exactly.
like,
Exactly.
especially now, you have a lot of men that feel like I ain't giving you shit. Like these women expect all this money and me to take you out and do XYZ, and you got to earn it and blah, 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 blah. And then you have some women that feel like I was born a woman. I was born with a vagina. I'm supposed to receive. So give
Exactly. Let right.
you know?
Let the showering of gifts begin.
And then so you have these people that believe in the opposition and they get in together and then they're having sex.
Right. And a lot of it. They doing
They're
all type of
having
stuff too.
sex.
I've been seeing all type of stuff they say they doing.
No, and so I'm glad that we said this. So let's get into it, right? Because I a lot of things that we consider common sense ain't common to
Oh
everybody,
no.
right? So there are really beings who are not understanding that sex is a way in which we create life, right?
That's the foremost purpose of it.
So
Like,
the energy that's exchanged in this activity is a very profound
it's very
energy.
powerful if life can be created within the process of exchanging it. Like so, yeah.
So why are we not conscious of who we are sharing our energies with? And knowing that that energy imprint of that individual stays with you
Well,
because
it's because we have to trivialize it. We in this society, we have to make everything seem like you know a trip to the drive-through. you know so we don't take things seriously because it's a consumer society. We need to use sex to sell things, so we can't have it as this guarded thing that we don't discuss, and it's held in a place of sanctity, and what I'm saying, like, no, it has to be something that can just casually happen because we got to sell condoms. What I'm saying? Because we have to, we have to promote the dating culture so people can go out and spend money. We need to basically keep people engaged with the use of sex. You understand? And so, like, anything that we trying to sell to you on television, we're gonna put the sex in the commercials. We're gonna do it. And so if we put sex in a proper perspective where it's supposed to be, we wouldn't be able to exploit it like we do. We wouldn't be able to whore it out like we do. It would be, we would know that it's irresponsible. We have to admit that. But we live in a society where it's a competition. So if I want you to watch what I'm doing, right? But you watching them. I know if I take a little bit of clothes off, like you know what I'm saying, sell a little bit of sex, then that's gonna draw your eyes over this way. And so it just becomes like an arm race for who can like kind of weaponize sex the best, right? And so we can't really the sacred energy. Don't nobody think about it like that. Because it's really it's moved more to it's like a meal. It's like, oh yeah, what do you want to, who you want to have sex with? What type of sex do you like? It's not thought of on the level of this is, an exchange of spiritual sacred energy, and we can use this to, perform magic and transsexual transmutation and alchemy and all. No, this is like getting your rocks off, having fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's easy to promote that to young, impressionable people, and so it starts there. They grow up being sexually irresponsible.
Wow. So on a spiritual level, can you on a spiritual level, can you delve a little bit more into the sexual act? Because as I said, I want to stress how important this energy is. And as you were talking about commerce, which is what this US corporation is about,
Mm-hmm.
they have an understanding of the laws of the universe and how everything works, right? And so sex is promoted as such because it is a very powerful energy. So
Yeah.
your people are easily controlled by that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a huge motivation, within us naturally, as primal, beings. Like sex is what's motivating men, to get up and build empires. And honestly, that's what the driving force is. To be real, right? Like, be fruitful and multiplies in the Bible. Like this idea of multiplication, right? Multiplying and growing. But for those of us who study like metaphysics and like esoteric things, we understand that like that's been the dynamic of whatever we can call consciousness from the beginning, is about expansion, you know and so really sex is a way for consciousness to expand itself by multiplying, by procreation, right? And so that's what really is happening. Is all of this is just really a simulation to motivate us to procreate so we can expand consciousness, right? But that's not, like, that's not a sexy message. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not going, what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm expanding consciousness. Ooh, like, no, that's not what you're thinking about. Because the way we wired is all urges, right? And so if you know that what motivates people to action is how they feel, right? And that is about as strong a sensation as there is the sexual urges. If you the horniest you ever been, like, the horniest I ever been, like, I could have moved a mountain, with that level of energy. And then also the it makes you susceptible to suggestion when you're in a sexually heightened state, right? And so it's easy for me to manipulate you with imagery and messages if I got you aroused, and so that's another reason why they manipulate how we view sex, because it has to be a thing that they can turn on and turn off whenever they get ready to, with the right messages, with the right music, the right ambiance, and so it's really just like everything else is about control of the masses, right? And like getting them to move how you want them to move, right? And like you talked about the corporation, it's really just about the bottom line for the corporation at the end of the day, right? And so us being in harmony, that don't necessarily benefit the bottom line of the corporation, right? Like, if me and have a happy, healthy relationship and all of that, and then suddenly, boom, we don't, and now I'm moving out. Guess what? That's another rent to tax. You know what I'm saying? That's another separate set of bills that have to be paid. That's better for the GDP at the end of the day. If we can split all of these two income households into, a one income household, and then put pressure on them to go out and, compete in the marketplace to find somebody else, because now they have to spend that same money. Now they have to go and, like they was in a relationship all not caring about themselves and how they look. Now they going to the gym because they single again. Now they got to go get BBLs and lipo. Now the man is, trying to figure, trying to drive more into, like being successful at business so he can attract more women, like that type of thing. So, it really, again, it's like a byproduct. It's not the source of the problems. It's a symptom of the problems, that we have in the type of society we live in and the way it's structured, So like it's sex is just a tool.
Right. Okay, so now this is let me scoot up. Look, I feel like I got a wish for something. Because this is also a major thing, okay? Is the alphabet crew, as everybody calls it, the LGBT, and it's no disrespect. I'm sorry, I'm just not familiar. LGBTQ,
Yeah, it's a plus now. Like
I think I seen an IA added to it, but
what,
basically
they bringing artificial intelligence into that? I don't know. Okay,
look, I
so
just seen it the other day.
that's a really complex conversation, but it ties into what we've already been discussing. It's about how sex became so casual, right? That we can start having all these conversations out in the public that we just wasn't having. It's been all type of people doing all type of things sexually for thousands and thousands of years, but it just wasn't a conversation that we was having because sex was held in a certain place, right? And as it's in American society, as time moved on, and uh, the women's liberation movement and civil rights and all of these types of things. So what happened was the oppression of women was so pronounced that like women kind of had an all hands on deck approach to addressing it. And so what's happened is it's like we've kind of overcompensated for it by the conversations that we needed to have, in order to talk about women's health. Like, right, we needed to start talking about sexual reproductive issues in order to discuss real things that mattered. But then it became just about, oh, my right to do whatever the fuck I want. You know what I'm saying? Like, first we was talking about keeping people healthy. Now it's just about people's right to be free, Like, and so those conversations started to happen more and more, in places where they probably shouldn't, because there was no rules to govern, like now if we would start having these conversations in a church, right, it would have been framed a different way. If we was having these conversations in a professional environment, they would have been framed a different way. But again, we having them in the street. Like, so there's no rules, and so now everybody's right to do what they want to do is not only something that I gotta observe, but I gotta hear about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta be, constantly bombarded with the fact that this is, is your thing. And it's the whole thing is like, it wouldn't have been cool if straight males, was, like forcing everybody to, acknowledge the fact that they have sex with women. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know that. Like, it's not really something that we gotta, make the conversation about the fact that we have sex with women. Like, but it became a thing where, in order to, we started having a conversation in civil rights about people having these types of freedoms. And then we started having a conversation about feminism and women being given equal right to vote and access in the market and in the business world and all of that, to, it just really just becoming a conversation about who we have sex with, like, and and so that I think that really is what brought a lot of this, what we're talking about now. It was cross dressers, it was these people, but they wasn't telling us what to call them, like, because we wasn't even talking about it.
So what are your thoughts? Because there are a lot of people that feel, okay, that feel that these people are born this way. You know what I'm saying? And then
No,
there are a lot of people that feel like, nigga, you weren't born like that.
I mean, like, anybody that's been around a child, knows that you can condition them to be anything. Like they not anything when they born. But they shaped. They like basically clay. Ooh, I lost my camera. Come back. So nobody is coming out with a sexual orientation. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody is coming out, like, oh, this is my preferred gender that you know what I'm saying? Like it's experiences that shape that, like, and I know, like, I'm gonna tell you the truth, right? Is that like very early when we become aware of, I don't know where my camera is, when we become aware of, sexuality and all of that, when I was a child, it was like frowned upon, right? For you to exhibit any type of tendencies like you was gay or anything like that, right? And so you you immediately conditioned yourself to frown up, you know what I'm saying, to clench yourself, like clench up with anything like that, you know what I'm saying, was a part of it. So you couldn't let yourself go that way. If like, now, sure, that led to a lot of people being repressed, like, and being in the closet and on the down low, right? But like the thing about that was, whose business is it anyway? Who does it matter to, right? And so that's the conversation is like, oh, so why is it bothering you that people are choosing this? Why? Well, why am I being notified of it? Like, why is it bothering me? Like, I mean, I'm just saying, like, why is, like, and that's the whole, so we got to ask that. It's like, what is it that, is making this such a pervasive thing that I got to acknowledge, like your personal business, right? Basically, it's who you have sex with and what you do. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you like to be called a man or a woman, like, like, I'm like, okay, so everybody got the right to be and feel like who they are, who they want to be. But you know what I'm saying? Like, what is society's responsibility to acknowledge that? Like, where's the line at? And so, like, where at what point do you have to have some type of scientific basis when you say something like, I was born like this? Or, is it just like, oh, it's a subject that's up for debate? Like, who knows? The world may never know if people are born like, no, like, you making choices on what you do. Now, if you could say, I was born feeling a certain way, but you wasn't born having sex. You decided, made decisions and choices on who you was going to have sex with. And I know a lot of people, especially the L's, that was doing different stuff. Like, you was having sex with somebody else. So if you was born like you are, what were you doing then? Right? The same thing you're doing now, making choices on what you want to do. Like, and that's what everybody's doing, is exercising their right to choose. And go ahead, but don't make it like it's more than that. It's not anything deeper. And that goes beyond just this sexual stuff. It's our races, it's our nationalities. All this shit is stuff we decided that we wanted to wear. We decided that we wanted to put this shit on, and it's a choice, right? I can say, oh, I'm a black man in America, and so and so, but all of the connotations that's wrapped up in that I identify with, somebody across the world don't got no fucking clue about any of that. You understand? Like, they don't understand any of the things. When I say a black man in America, motherfuckers start seeing police sirens and yellow tape and, niggas marching in the streets and a fight for liberty. It's people across the world that they don't know what any of those things mean. They don't know what the fuck America is for real, other than like what they seen on TV. They don't understand the plight of the black man. They don't know, like, and because it ain't they struggle. It ain't they fight. It ain't they path to take to walk in, so they don't have to. And so you understand that you decided that you wanted to continue on this path as whatever, as a black man, as a gay woman, like whatever you did, those are choices. You making choices, and so if we fighting for anything, we fighting for everybody's right to choose what they want. And some people can choose not to like what your choice is.
Exactly.
I don't know what's going on with my camera, by the way. I'm trying to work it out. I think.
Yeah, fix it. I'll blab for a minute. For me, I feel because knowing and trust me with the lettering, I'm not being disrespectful. It's just my ignorance upon what all these letters and all that shit mean. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anyone, but because I don't, it's my choice not to get into all of that.
Right. This is
I
your
feel
choice.
that everybody's free to be who the fuck they want to be, you know.
Indeed.
So the letters don't have meaning to me in that way. But what I do feel is that I've known and know people that are of the alphabet and a lot of and two raised in different types of homes, you know,
Mm-hmm.
people raised in strict Christian homes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or raised with just their fathers and turn out gay and their fathers are manly men. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So none of this was shown to them. And their argument is that like I was just born this way. I didn't even have the understanding of why I felt what I felt. This is just what I felt, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then I do have some males in my life and some females that really feel like, no, God didn't make you like that, boo.
Right.
And so
Choices.
this is against nature, and we are here to procreate, and y'all can't procreate, so y'all ain't natural, and this ain't how it's supposed to be.
Right. Exactly.
And so for me, I feel that if we are all expressions of God, and
Mm-hmm.
God has placed himself, you know, in all these different realms to have an experience and express as such, I feel that we need to be blaming ourselves because as a consciousness, we created this
Yeah.
because the male and female balance has been off, you know, for the balance, because that's what nature is about balance, has been off for so long that now we have created beings, you know, that come into this life with vaginas and feel like they're a man, you know, or penises and feel like they're a woman. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Or with this, what some might call confusion
Mm-hmm.
about who and what they're supposed to be. I
Right.
feel like that it's just a byproduct of how the whole of consciousness has.
Has evolved and like and it's and okay, so that's a big thing for me is right. Like you say, consciousness expressing itself. The other thing is that consciousness wanted to be able to see every angle, right, of everything, right? And so, every one of us is a set of eyes, right? We are basically reporting back information to the
Collecting the
source,
data.
right? Exactly. And so, um, within that, right, we all have like, a responsibility to kind of like tell the truth. Right? We should be reporting accurately, like that's what we see, right? But the thing is that okay, so let's just say I'll start it. Do you understand what middle sex is?
No.
Okay,
What's
so
that?
there's
I
people.
kind of got excited. What's that?
So it's people who are born like genetically ambiguous, right? Let me see if that it. Let's see if it'll come on now. Oh, it's back. Okay, good. Okay. I kept trying to start the camera again. I'm glad you. Okay. So it's people that's born like hermaphrodites, right?
Okay, I got you. Uh-huh.
Right. Like, and it's a spectrum. Like, if you think about human biology, right, with a man, like the ideal man being on one end, the ideal woman being on the other end, and then you got like, you move to probably the middle where you got this hermaphrodite person who probably have both sets of reproductive organs, but one of them doesn't work and the other one does, right? Right. One of them.
It's messed up, man.
Right. Now
It's
some of them,
messed up.
some of them are taking on more masculine characteristics. Some of them taking on more female characteristics, right? This is facts. These people genetically exist, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so these people can make a case that they born this way, but they still have to make a decision on what type of assignment they are going to take, right? So even though they born this way, they still got to make a decision on what they're going to do, right?
Well, no,
so
that just excited me. You know what I mean? Okay. I'm sitting here thinking like, damn, bro. I mean, like men and women. Hello.
Right, but then you don't even have to get another
exciting.
partner. You can get both of them in one person instead of I'm good. But you know, go to town.
Like this is like a buffet.
Knock yourself out, right? I already told you, I went up at the thought of penises. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so,
well, I mean, I'm taking myself out of myself because technically, I'm.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is that right, and that's the thing about like female sexuality. It's like, it's a curve. It's fluid, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, so you got some females.
It is. You know what? That's crazy that you say that because it is very fluid, right? Because I can be in my mode, you know what I'm saying? Maybe have a couple cocktails and be like, damn, you are so beautiful.
Exactly.
I don't wanna like
right. I've heard that. I've heard many women that look at themselves in the mirror and get turned on, by what they see. You know what I'm saying? Like me, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, and another man is never gonna be, yo, dog, you looking good tonight.
And that's the thing, is that the truth is that it's a school of thought that says that all human sexuality is that fluid, right? But the parameters of the environment that you grow in are going to determine how fluid you allow yourself to fucking be. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so, like that's, so that's my whole thing. It's like, okay, let's just say that you are a person who sees the male form and get turned on, and you see the female form and get turned on. You don't gotta have both of them. like the fact that you did that say something more about like, okay, well, shit, I mean, are you greedy?
Why it gotta be greed? It's like, if I can have it, why not? God is your best life. I'm an expression of God, so this is like my best.
And see, as a person who have had, threesomes, of course, with two women, you know what I'm saying? Like, and or foursome with, knowing that, like,
Kid, you that it's had a threesome.
You said what?
You ain't never had a threesome?
No, with two other women. Yeah. And a foursome with three other women, but not with no other dudes. like because I can't even perform in that type of environment. Like I can't bring myself to it because very early I conditioned myself to penises are cringy. So I couldn't be gay if I wanted to, because I conditioned myself like that. And not because, I was born not liking dicks. No, I was taught not to like dicks. Like, it was very clear that wasn't acceptable. Now, some people, right, this is a big thing and it's really controversial, but we know how many people got groomed, you understand, and molested, you understand, and, was cultivated, had their sexuality cultivated, by influences around them, like, and so we, and you see how that shit turned out, so it's like, stop it, like, we all making choices, right? You know what I'm saying? It's not like, I gotta be a criminal because I'm a black man, I was born like this, like, it's, no, you got choices, within the limited, it is a limited set of options you can choose, penises, vaginas with penises, petite penises with vaginas, but you choose, so make the choice and be cool with the choice you making, whether other people like it or not. You don't gotta make, have a picnic or a party to make them accept it. Now, I do understand what it means to be like marginalized people that's finally able to express themselves fully, but don't overcompensate like the feminists did. So that's just a joke.
No, honestly, that whole feminist shit, I feel like, with some government shit, and like,
Yeah,
people,
let's get some more workers out here.
they got on with the propaganda, you know what I'm saying? And that was to break down the whole household structure and to, you know, keep the male and female dynamic unbalanced.
Yeah, because the whole thing is that they want to maintain control, right? And so if you like, they want to control your household. That's why they got divorce court. That's why they got this relationship is sanctioned. That's why the marriage.
Nobody asked the fucking question. This is what kills me too. Ask the fucking question. Why do you need the government? Why do you need a marriage license to say that you married? Like what?
Well, because the government start incentivizing motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And now people seeing you getting those incentives, and in the competition, the environment of competitive, discourse, right? Now I'm trying to keep up with the Joneses, and they getting all these fucking tax breaks and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, she can, be on, like be on his insurance, type shit like that, because they get these, so the government incentivized that because, it's good on one hand, right? Right. Because we do want, what I'm saying, like, for men and women to come together and make babies, right? We want that to happen. And women going to do that in an environment where they feel secure and safe. And so this marriage gives them the illusion to that of this security, right? That they,
What are we less
that,
than 50% now?
yeah, exactly. And so, like, that's not anything successful. Nothing, you know what I'm saying, unless we like playing basketball. Oh, I hit 50% of my shots. Like, but other than that, like 50% is failing. That's a failing grade in school, right? But it's like, if we need y'all to come together and make the baby. But once we done got the man to accept paternity for this child, all bets is off, right? We don't give a fuck if this shit work out or not, because we just didn't want these children to become orphans and wards of the state. So the people in the state, they become a bang on, the GDP, right? We need to get these men and women together, have them spend money on romance, wining and dining, have them buy a house, have them go get their credit and all that shit merged and intertangled. Then we need to have them go hire lawyers, to undo it. You know what I'm saying? We got a judge, we got judges we paying that's going to deliberate on how they're going to split up the property. And now they both going to need to go out and get more property because they only got half the property that they wanted. Right. So now, it starts all over again, and so it ain't really
feel too about this thought of procreation. Like
oh, I'm all about
we
that.
can't out here getting it in and making it.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, for me as a man, that's the only weapon we have in this fight, right?
Did you
That's
say
the only
weapon?
Yeah, it's the only weapon we have. Right? Because, like, and you familiar with my crusade, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people don't know, they think that that's just some type of irresponsible thing. Now, really, it's really addressing, some a crisis that's happening. Is
What's
that
the crisis?
the crisis is that birthing rates are declining in a major way, right? And we, as Black people, this is the first generation of men whose life expectancy is lower than the generation before it. Life expectancies have been expanding up until this group of males that I'm in. We actually have a lower life expectancy than the males before us, and them dudes was wow. So, so that's a crisis, right? And so we have to offset that by making more Black males, right? And so that's a personal mission and crusade, right? We also, though, have to create an environment that's suitable for them to flourish, and where their life expectancy is going to increase as opposed to diminish. And so, like, that's that. And then the other thing is that, with the whole way everything is structured in this country, in this society, men don't really have a lot of rights, right? And when it comes to paternity and these types of things, like like, women are really calling the shots as far as all that goes. The place that we have control at, though, is at that moment of conception. You can decide to pull out or not. Like, this is your last chance to cast your ballot, sir, because after this is her body and her choice, you know. And if she decides she don't want to be with you, then the court is going to put you on paperwork to take care of this child. So this is like this is your last opportunity, like to get your foot in the door. So that's really what it is for me. Is like I was really I have a really personal history with abortion. Like I've had women abort children that I didn't want, aborted. And so like that's the thing for me. And so like to see, like how we made a white woman's issue, what I'm saying, like something that, what I'm saying, like we dive into head first as a people is upsetting for me. And I don't got no other way to I can't overturn, any laws as it pertains to that. But what I can do is use my influence to, to inspire some people to, get out here and make us some soldiers, add some people, add some numbers to the ranks. That's really what it's about for me. So
So
I
I
got my
mean,
little son and I'm planning to have a few more, and I know everybody like it's old, you 40. Why is you gonna be
you
50
popping
with
at
a
40. Life is
10-year-old?
just beginning. What are you talking about?
That's how I see it. That's how I see it,
Life is
So
just beginning in the 40s.
yeah, exactly. Like I'm just really hitting my stride for real.
No, for real. I feel like 40 is when you don't give a fuck. You know what
Yeah,
I
I
mean?
mean,
You're not trying to fit any mold. You ain't trying to be something nobody else wants you to be. You didn't put you an OG, you didn't put your time in as far
and
as
you live long enough to see these cycles, like to see these patterns. And so you can kind of, really kind of see past all the bullshit, and like cut to the chase, so like for me, I kind of I got married at 24 years old, and was trying to start a family, and I was not equipped, and the woman I was with was not equipped, right? And so that shit had to fall and burn and crash to pieces for like some years before I could put things back together. And I took my 30s to kind of rebuild who I am, rebuild myself and get to know me, because I made that decision so young, right? And it was really because of what society was telling me I was supposed to do, like, I had people around me like that was telling me, oh no, you shouldn't do that, this, and the third, but I wasn't looking at those people as the models for what I wanted to have and be. So, I couldn't take they advice, but they were right about needing more experience and needing to take more time to get to know who I was. First of all, develop who I am. Like so. That really now is like when I can really be the man I wanted to be at that time, because it took that level of growth and maturity and experience and going through all those things. So I think I'm a much better parent to my son at his age than I was to my daughters at the same age, And
right.
so I'm looking forward to the next the next round.
Right. So, damn, that just totally made me lose my thought because I had a question that was popping too.
Oh, okay.
Um, oh, okay. So the abortion thing. So now women feel very strongly about this because it's like, Ninja, I gotta carry the baby. Okay. And let me tell you, okay, because I just became a mommy. And
Congratulations
and
again.
and I appreciate it. It's an honor. It is an honor. It is definitely my honor, my
It's a
privilege
beautiful thing.
for being. But that shit is crazy. It
It
is
is. It
crazy.
is. It's
It's
just some
crazy.
alien shit. It's weird. Like, this really happening? Like
No, and
it's a
then too,
person in you.
especially being at my age, I'm a very strong-minded person, a know-it-all to a certain extent. And so there was things I just knew, you know, like I'm not gonna be all tired like that. I'm not gonna be a mommy that's not gonna be popping, you know. And this is some whole other shit because it's really the feeling of being out of control, You know what I'm saying? You are not in control of a lot of things that are going on with this body. And so being on this planet at that time for 39 years and not being able to be in control, I was like, hold on, little baby.
And that was a big thing for you. Being in control, calling your own shots and shit.
No, and it's none of that, right? So now the abortion thing is a topic that needs to be spoken about because as a woman, I get why it can be unfair to a male. You know what I'm saying? Which either way he goes, whether it's bitch abort, abort this mission,
Right.
or if it's like, no, you cannot do that. You cannot terminate life, blah, 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 blah. And so what do we feel and from your perspective, a median is, like for a woman who is really like, no, I can't do this. I can't do this. I don't have the financial backing. I don't have the emotional capacity. Uh, you know, and
Yeah, I mean, to me, right, and that's it's right. It's such a complex conversation, right? But it usually get reduced to extremes, right? Okay. um Incest or rape occurred, and so, or it's a complication that could cause you could die, and all those types of things. So we don't ever want to make light of like these type of things that could have implications, right? But for a man, right, you made the same choice that that woman made, right, when you made that baby. If you decide that I'm out, how are you looked at? How are you perceived as a human being? You are garbage. You're trash. But and so we know that that's, what I'm saying, like that's how we view a man who, you know, shirks a responsibility that's a result of a decision that he made.
I mean, but do we though? Because a woman could leave their child, right? And she is dogged out. She gonna hear it from the family. She gonna hear it from the friends, people who heard about her. You know what I'm saying? But a man does it, and his boys don't talk. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, you know what I'm saying. I know.
And I think it's really it's a different side of the same coin, right? Is that right? It's almost assumed that he had less responsibility, you know, right? Like because he had less control, like, so I think that's really like the narrative that, like these the woman's kids, it's almost like, and that's not just like American society paints a picture like mothers knows best. Where did that saying come from, right? If you look at every image of a family that they put up for you, like on sitcoms or in movies, anything else, the man is pretty aloof in terms of what the fuck is going on with the children in the household. The woman knows everything. The woman got to tell this man what his doctor told him, and get him to follow, like, and so it's this whole narrative that the woman is really a better human being, right, 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 and so she have higher expectations. It's more of a surprise that she would leave kids because she's just a much better human being than a man, and then also that, what I'm saying, like it's other stuff like the process, right? You had a child in you for 9 months. It's attached to you to the extent that it causes a shock to you emotionally when this child has to come out of you, even though you're looking forward to that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, then this child needs to latch on to you for its nutrition for a certain period of time. Like, this baby don't need me. You know what I'm saying? Like, this baby don't know I'm standing at the door, protection.
But they
like, this baby don't know I'm paying the rent, like to
but they
keep
do.
right. Well,
I didn't realize that until I had my daughter. You know what I'm saying? I've there's a total difference in conceptually understanding something because you've read some text,
and
okay?
understanding or
And
overstanding.
then starting to overstand it and then understanding it, you know? And my daughter, with her father, I can tell you this, and she still does it. Like this girl can hop up at 3 in the morning and just be like, I'm like, and then 10 minutes later, her father walks through the door. You know what I'm saying? And like this happens over and over again, or she'll be knocked out in the middle of the day and her pops walks in. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
he's calling, she doesn't even know he's on the phone and she switches up. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? So there is a connection.
Yeah. Well, yeah, some people say that that happens in the womb, right? Like that the baby gets used to hearing the man. It's a schedule. You know, the changes in the woman's body when the man's around, the baby can recognize that. You know, it's but these this is like loose science because how long have they been doing these studies and who did they study? It's usually white women, so like, we don't know how much of it applies. But I believe that, I feel like, but my son, like, since he been born, he spent every single day with me. But when he come out of that room, that man pushing around me like to get to his mama, like, when he wake up in the morning, like if he slept too late and she's gone, by the time he gets up, he'll go back in that room and go to sleep. But he works his hardest to spend every waking moment that he can with her. And so he just came off the breast, right? Like we're talking about like in the last 2 months.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He 2 years old.
Yeah.
And
My
so he
baby's
just
on there too.
yeah. So like that type of connection, like I don't, like yeah, he want me to pick him up, but no, he need her to pick him up. And so I think that we know that it's more weight, and so it's
Could
almost
it
like
also be too, just a thought, out here on these spiritual streets is what they saying is that the woman, okay, is the physical manifestation of God, right? Because no life comes through without a woman. So in that little child's mind, you know what I'm saying, as far as being born in this human body, this space suit, that is that child's perception of, oh,
it is, it is, it is, and so I mean, obviously he probably don't have no recollection of coming out of that womb, but you know what I'm saying, like that she's home, you know, literally. So it's like I look at it as that's a joke I make, like we come out of there as a male, and then we get to a certain point and we spend the rest of our life trying to get back in there. It's what it represents, like though, it was a place where we got everything. We got everything we needed. It was warm, it was safe, it was nutrition, it was nurturing, it was, all of that, and it was protective, and we could develop and grow to our fullest potential. And so that's what we want. And so, that's to when you got it the right way, that's what the love of a woman is like for a man, And so I'm not, like I'm not, I feel like my son is practicing, for what, you know, for what it's gonna be like, you know, as for the rest of his life, running
it's
in behind.
funny that you say that because word on these spiritual streets is that right now we are in a patriarchy and everything is supposed to be a matriarchy, right? And so that's another reason for things being as unbalanced as it is. Now, as a male, what is your perspective on that?
Well, I kind of look at it like I look, one of the big things that changed to open up my eyes is looking at things from like an anthropological standpoint. Like fuck society. What was going on in the wilderness 100,000 years ago, right? And so, like, I know from my own experience, right, that as a man, if I get to create the environment that's ideal for me, a woman and a child walking into that is not conducive for them,
Mm-hmm.
right? You understand? Like, it's not baby proofed. You understand? It's not secure enough for a woman to feel safe in her womanhood and femininity. You understand? She got to be a fucking warrior in my, in my world, in my ideal. And so I had to mature out of that to realize that that's not realistic. You understand? Like, I don't want my woman in warrior mode for real because she gonna fucking be battling me too. I don't need that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so um she basically sets the floor, a minimum level of suitability that I have to foster in order to expect to have her in my life and expect to thusly have my children in my life. You understand? So it's a matriarchy because it's the woman that is setting the tone for how things have to be. Because I could live in a fucking cave with no clothes on, you know what I'm saying, with a spear, you know what I'm saying, throwing fucking, you know what I'm saying, arrows and spears through my fucking wild game, and I could, be having the time of my life, but that ain't gonna work for her, right? So I gotta be in tune with what the rules that she wants to live by are, because I'll be fine, honestly. So I don't need, like it to be a patriarchy or a matriarchy. She does need a little bit of structure though, like, and then me, when I start going out and trying to do shit with other males, you know what I'm saying? Like, we probably need to take into consideration what's going on back home with our women and babies, right? Even when we out here just doing shit, even in a situation where it probably should be patriarchal, we doing this for the women and children, So I don't. It's not a thing where I feel like women should be making the laws and governing everything, or men should be. But I think that it's necessary for us to both have a say in what has to happen, because there's no other way that it's going to be healthy for both of us to survive and thrive in. Thrive in. There you go. About, all right, try to invite me again. Okay.
Well, I kind of feel like I feel like it makes sense, because when we are, even if we have a little bit more balance as far as these male and female roles, and we want to talk about what comes natural, kind of. Um, to me, it only makes sense for a woman to be in the lead. I think that some of the males that take issue with that are because of the way the male was created. You know what I'm saying? Like, to protect the land, protect the women. You guys are our warriors. You know what I'm saying? So there's a part of the ego that has an issue with that. But I feel like, as far as our natural roles, the woman's mind is already geared towards what's for the betterment of the whole. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on with your diet? What's your poop looking like? You know what I'm saying? Why your stomach hurt? Let's altering your diet, cooking, you know what I'm saying? Creating magic in the kitchen, to feed the soul food, what the babies need, what that baby's body is saying to her, what's needed in the household, to make it function properly for everyone in the household. And then, so when you take that and you bring it out into the collective reality, I feel that it is less competitive, it's less warriorhood. You know what I'm saying? When we are concerned and our focus is on the nurturing and the betterment of all,
Right. And
including.
see, and that, like, from that standpoint, that makes sense, right? And so if you in a society that's structured for that, then that makes sense. But this ain't a society that's structured for that, right? And
But why
so
isn't it though? Like, why
because,
why are we not asking these questions? Why are
well,
we just like falling in line?
it's the systems that we use, right?
Why?
That we it's ascribe to, right? Um, all right. So it goes back to what we was talking about, like, the metaphor that I use, right, is like a basketball team, right? you got an NBA team like the Chicago Bulls, right? Us as fans, we look at the game and we thinking that the goal is to win the basketball game, right? That's what we think that their goal is. But their goal is really to sell tickets and merchandise. Right? Right? They don't give a fuck who wins the game if they sell tickets and merchandise. And see, so we are focusing on the wrong thing, right? On whether we successful or not, right? If we as fans were saying, "Oh man, the Bulls sold more jerseys than the LA Lakers, so we the number one team." That ain't, like that's not how they trained us to look at the competition. They trained us to be more concerned with what's happening on this fucking court. When the billionaires that's running the show, I'm more concerned with that outcome, right? And so it's really like the same thing that's happening is we think that healthy, happy families is, what the goal is in safe communities. No, the goal is businesses that's thriving. You understand? Like taxes, you know what I'm saying? Being raised exponentially, us raking in more money from people, and that's what the success is. So we got the wrong metrics, right? So the first, when you talk about why we not asking these questions, is because the questions we are asking, like who's gonna pay the rent? You know what I'm saying? Like that's why we keep worrying about that. We not asking the bank why the fuck the rent is so high. You know what I'm saying?
Why we paying rent?
Right, exactly.
Why are we paying bills?
Why?
If the United States ain't got no money, right? I mean, this is the question though.
But
United States has no legal money, and it says in their laws that United States is responsible for all debts, and they are responsible for your household goods. So that's your.
What happens is that you get caught up. You get caught up in having to live in this shit, and so all the knowledge of all that shit do not matter when you go to the store to buy some bread and they say $5. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like this is the illest thing is that my first wife, the woman I married, I decided I was gonna marry her the first conversation we had over the phone. When she told me that her thesis for her master's degree was on the state of the black man in America. Yeah, I was so like,
heart eyes. Talking about the black man, she ain't no black man.
Because her master's degree was in public health, so she, this was a public health issue that was plaguing her community is the health of the black man. Okay. So I was so moved by this. I'm like, finally, somebody I felt seen, right, right. But the truth is that all the knowledge, the intense, deep knowledge that she had from an educational level and then from her own life and experiences, it still was not stronger than everything that was built to drive a wedge between us, because she still did the very things that, you know what I'm saying, that she said that women did in relationships with black men that was unhealthy. You understand? Our things still went the very same way, even with all that knowledge of that. So you can get out here and know that this system is this and this, that, and the third, but you still have to navigate in it. You understand? And that's the problem, is because if you start doing well in it, then you incentivized to stay in it, not change it and overthrow it. And if you're not doing well in it, well, of course you don't like it. Who the fuck cares how you feel, because you're not having no success. That's why you mad at it. You mad at black women because you ain't got one. Like, and then once you get one, you probably should shut the fuck up about black women. Like, so now what can you do to change? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, and it's the same thing for black men. Like, a lot of women is disgruntled about black men because they got burnt in relationships with them. So are they the voice that we should be listening to tell us about black men and what they need to do? And then when we get a black woman that got a black man, hey, look, don't say nothing about my man. Don't even talk about my relationship. Keep us out of that shit. Like, because it ain't nothing but poison there. So she don't even want to hold up her relationship as a shining example, because bitches will try to come fuck him. Like, that's how she thinking, like, so it's really
like, if you can get a bitch, let me see you
try. Like, no, but that's really what it comes down to. So like, I was trying to, when I got married, I was trying to be an example, you know. And to be honest, like for a little while there, you know, everybody was, oh man, y'all we so proud of y'all. But the, you know, like the lack of actual training that we had on successful relationships and conflict resolution and problem solving and, you know, all these other types of things compounded with the fact that we were still growing and trying to know ourselves, you know, like,
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
And so it wasn't, we weren't ready. But you know, we did come together and make two babies that I love to death, but that we end up in the custody fight over, you know. So yeah, so
Fucking
you know,
system involved. That's
yeah,
so
yeah. And
annoying.
she took me to court. Like the woman on the State of Black Man in America went to the court. Like if I had a list of rules for what the non-negotiable non-starters would be, calling the police and going and taking me to court would be one and two. Like,
You know, a lot of women gonna be mad at me. They're gonna be mad, but look, this is just what it is, right? I don't believe in that shit. You know what I'm saying? To
always,
me, and this is just from my perspective, is that it comes with some fucking bitterness. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Or
yeah,
some I'm gonna
yeah,
get you back, or
yes,
because
yes,
you hurt me,
yeah.
nigga, I want you to feel some of that hurt that you made
You
me feel.
think you getting away with some shit? You think
Right?
you
Like,
getting
what does this
over?
have to do with the well-being of the child? You know what
No.
I'm saying? Us having this energy between each other. And for me as a woman, it's like I'm gonna take care of my shorty regardless, nigga. So the relationship that you have with her, that's on you.
Yeah, it's
I don't
really,
even I don't even want the responsibility of having to judge it. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Yes, I have my ideal of what I would like things to be. But still, this is a whole nother soul that I have brought into this realm with her own lessons that she needs to learn. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just here to guide, like to guide her to who she needs to be. So maybe this is a part of her experience. And so why am I, claiming that it's for her, putting her father in the system,
yeah.
know what I'm saying? And then putting the system all up in our business,
Yeah,
and
it
creating this
really,
dynamic.
and it's like, um if you understand historically, you know, like what what they've wanted to do to us and our people since the plantation, right? Like, you know, since it's been about, these were never our children, you know, that these were they property. Why would we go to the courts, right? Why would we subject ourselves to them in any way, right? Why would we, you know? And so for me, it's like it's personal. Why I wouldn't,
It's
you know, why I
personal.
wouldn't take her to court, you know, like why, you know, like I'm not, you know, like, so it's really, that shit is really sad because, you know, you got Jeffrey Leving and fathers' rights and all this type of thing, and the fact that it again turns into a competition, like to show who's a more fit parent, you know, like, and you know, like, um my daughters, I really feel so bad for them because, you know, like me and their mother were never together in their life, you know, like really. And so they had to run back and forth, you know, every week because of me and her, you know. And so they came in at a disadvantage, you know, not able to be, you know, like just sit and be stable, you know. Like I just think about that, you know, and like getting shuttled back and forth every day or, you know, every weekend, and, you know, all of this. And it became a thing where, you know, like I just became an option, you know, and the only conversation is about, you know, like how much money I'm contributing to, you know, like, because everything else is kind of, you know, well, you know, we know what the breast milk is, you know, and everything else is, you know, kind
Right.
of, you know, added incentive. You know, it's more of about judging me and my marriage as a man than anything else. You know, oh, you showed up for the games, you know, that type of thing. But it's all token shit. You know, it's like I don't get to provide my children with the security of knowing that I'm there in the morning when they wake up and when they go to sleep at night. You know, I don't you know, have those little conversations. I don't get those little moments. I don't, everything I'm trying to squeeze in the whole week and then make up for last week and the week before that in these little in 2 days, and they would rather just stay at home and lay in their beds because they had a rough week, And so it's really really sad. And so I really
But like I said, every soul has, their journey. And so what we can look forward to is the opportunity to have a free, open, honest relationship without an influence, and maybe that won't happen until they're later on in
yeah,
age.
that's really
But
it's sad, but I'm looking forward to that. Like I kind of this stage, I'm looking at it like, well, this is what we got to go through because of the circumstances and all that. But I'm looking forward to that day when I can really, because it's like now, oh, I don't, I text them and tell them to call me because I don't know when they gonna be able to talk to me comfortably. They might be in the presence of their mother, and
exactly.
they that in and of itself create this, conflict within them. Like they at odds with themselves because of how they feel about me and how they feel about her, and they have to take sides and all this type of stuff. And so, I'm just really looking forward to that day. But you know, I'm preparing
Are you
things.
making it clear to them too that there's no sides to take?
I don't like what's happened is they they picked they picked their side before I could make them before I could express that to them,
I
you know
got you.
because that had to be the common, she had to be saying that too, you
I got
know but she picked up a position that she have to be the police person, a referee of my relationship with them, as opposed to um, you know a conscientious observer.
you. Okay, so
Yeah, so I was oh, you want to pick up where I was at, or you want to?
um so we're let's just take it from here. Because this is important, right? Because this is going on. I mean, look, man, out of all the males I know that are being dads, that are being dads, this is not, I'm not bullshitting, 90% of their problem, right? Is they want to be dads, but they got mommies who are mad, who are bitter, who want revenge, who are operating at these lower vibrations and creating these dynamics. This is a huge thing right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's been a huge thing because I feel like I'm a product of it. As that's my story as a child. So yeah, indeed.
Now, how do we, because to me this goes back to the beginning and how we started, which is the male and female dynamic. You know what I'm saying? And so from your perspective, how do we as a people start to kind of get on this balance? You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's. I think that the truth is that we have to have strong institutions, honestly, because that's where the education comes from. That's where the training. That's where the perspectives. That's where the rules, come from, and that's where the direction come from. And then the other thing is that's where the accountability is, right? That when you go into the school, you got a code of conduct that you're supposed to adhere to. It's grades that's structured on a system based on your performance and your merits. Your job is the same way, right? You got criteria, so these relationships have to be built within the framework of some or things like this in order for them to be successful in a society like this, because we know what successful organizations look like in a society and the rules that govern them and foster them, continuing on in perpetuity, right? We can't just decide that we're gonna make up some rules and for how things are gonna work out, and that's gonna lead us to success. We don't have any basis of a track record for that. We have to look at the things that endured, right? And so, how has the United States government managed to continue on doing what they've been doing for the past 200 years? How have these big banking institutions been able to continue on, to fleece America? How have the things that have been working and within this society, how have they succeeded? Right. And so we have to create mechanisms like that for ourselves that follow those same rules, because that's the only way that the success is going to happen. They're models for success, right? If I want to grow a beautiful garden of flowers, then I need to talk to people who group, gardens of flowers. I can't just decide in my heart how I want it to work, right? Or decide from some old-fashioned way of thinking or some books that was written a time thousands of years ago. No, it has to be based on they in these same conditions, dealing with these same factors, and they was able to grow that beautiful garden. So I need to go over there and use
Exactly.
and so that's what we have to do, is we have to create models for what that's supposed to look like, what these institutions look like, and then we have to grow the relationships and the ideas through those things, because that's a healthy soil, so to speak.
Okay, so let's just be clear. So when we talk about right now, as you talk about the corporation in the United States and these things that were successful, what you're meaning is to mimic the structure in the fact that it bought structure. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily meaning that we need their particular institutions.
No, we don't. It's just core principles that successful, whether it's a church, a school, a group of people, whether it's any group of multiple people that we see successfully able to work together in harmony for any enduring period of time. We need to hold that up as some type of example of the ingredients, at least the skeleton for what we need to build, right? And so we had these types of things, like we had the church, right, in the Black community. Now, I'm not a Christian. I don't ascribe to those, type of like rigid, perspectives on spirituality, but it was certain things that the church brought, which was fellowship, which was people that come together with rules in place and under a common belief system. You understand, a common goals that they ascribe to, that they have for themselves and for people in general. And so that's the type of things we need to happen, because when the man is threatening to leave the wife, the church is going to be like, nah, bro, because he got a responsibility to his wife, to those children, but also to the church, like as the community that he's a part of, right? And so we build communities that actually can hold people accountable, right? Like that's the only way, because people just gonna do whatever the fuck they want. Like, it's gonna be chaos if every individual, we all a unique individual, we all making our own rules. Like nobody is gonna have any.
Oh, really? You think so?
I've seen it. Like niggas be getting shanked. That's prison. Like no,
but I don't feel that that's because of their own accord. I feel like that's a program that they're not even aware that's playing.
Well, I mean, that was a joke, me using that as an example. But what I mean, like, is
I don't think many of us know how that looks because we are so controlled.
Well, okay. So I go back to the fact that this is laws that govern the universe. Like physics, for example. If I pick this up, it's gonna, what I'm saying, like, and so I gotta do things based on my understanding of this law, right? Now if I just decided I wanted to ignore this, then it'll be shit falling off everywhere. My son would not be safe in here because, you know, like everywhere he went, you know what I'm saying, my lack of adherence to the laws of gravity would put him in peril. You understand? Here we go with this again. So I think what happens is I got a adapter card, and I think it gets too hot and it cuts off on its own automatically. So invite me back and I'll start again. But yeah. So I think that it's certain rules that we don't have. It's not about us creating rules. It's about us acknowledging and accepting certain rules, right? Like that. The golden rule, for example, right? If people were, you know, applying that, you know, more rigorously, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? That's not necessarily a rule that everybody out here is, you know, living by. But if we got an organization and we put that at the top as the number one rule, then it's more likely that the people going to operate with that mentality, and that's going to, you know, be pervasive in the way they treat each other and so forth and so on. So it's not as if we have to make up, you can't do this, you can't do that. No, we know that in nature, when you do certain things, it's certain results that come as you know. And so we gotta structure the way that we operate with a working understanding of this, or we gonna have all type of consequences and be like, why the fuck is this happening? Why is that? I don't understand. But if we look at the natural laws and natural order, we would see that for every action is an equal or greater reaction, you know.
I agree. I just wanted to pull that out of
no, devil's advocate.
You know, as though I am interviewing, I am attentively listening, and my perspective is very open. So I could see how people could think you saying one thing when you know, I know that you're not, but
Right.
people can translate it differently. And so so this is my deal too, just real quick. I agree with what you're saying. Shocking. Yeah, I agree. But I also feel that in this rule thing, uh, what I'm noticing too is with the dynamic, you know how kind of like back in the day, or even still in some cultures where they like marry you off and shit, you know? So maybe not marrying people off, but having an age requirement. You know what I'm saying? Because what I find out is a lot of the breakdown is the not knowing self. And then so it takes a while for the human, especially with all the programming that's going on around us, to even recognize the fact that we need to get to know ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we're just continuing this vicious cycle of perpetuating these reactionary states, you know, where we're just reacting and we're holding on to, and then so the next person is responsible for what three ninjas did to you, you know what I'm saying, in the last 10 years, you know what I'm saying? Or this female is responsible because homegirl cheated on you and you loved her with all your heart. You
Right.
know what
Right.
I'm saying? And so now you got another pretty one and you trashing her. You know what I'm saying? Because you so damn pretty, and that last bitch, she was pretty and she just dogged her. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that comes with the unknowing. And once we step into a space, you know, like for you, for instance, and myself, like suppose right now at this age, we just now started to date. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, not date, but started to actively look for a spouse. You know what I'm saying? Whereas we spent you know, the 20s,
in the 30s.
you know, the 20s and the early 30s kind of dating. You know what I'm saying? Kind of not getting into anything too serious, not all the sex shit, but really, you know, exploring and getting to know people as an individual and how we are responding to them, and then, you know, and at the same time doing our self work. And then at, you know, our age, you know what I'm saying, then it's like, I mean, you know, you have so much more respect for a human.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. I
And
mean, and how important is
relationship.
that? How important is respect? Yeah, like, and that's the whole thing is like, you know, uh, I told you getting married at 24 years old, my ex-wife, she had a conversation with my partner now, and she had to admit, like, it was so much she didn't even know about being a woman, like, let alone being a wife to a man, like, so, that's that age requirement thing. It makes sense, like, in other societies, like, hey, the earlier the better, because they want to get these people, young, and have them growing up together and making kids young. But in this society, we don't live by that. We don't do things like that. And so it makes sense. Like, listen, if you ain't 30, you don't need to be trying to talk about being nobody's spouse, because don't you haven't even clearly defined who you are as a person, as an individual. You don't clearly know yourself or your path. And then, like, another thing that comes along with it is the implications of bringing children in, and and all of those types of things. Now, I think it's important because my kids grew me up, what I'm saying, but they don't need to suffer through my growing pains. It's
Woo.
not their responsibility, like, you know. And so, I really regret, and I wish that, I don't regret making them, so I can't regret the relationship that I was in, but I really wish that I would have been, more mature and more certain of who I was supposed to be with and make them with, you know. So that's important. So I like that idea. Like, in the institution, like, listen, you ain't old enough to get married.
Right.
Like, period.
And so what is this thing too, because I'm a female, and I know a lot of females have this question. What is the deal with this whole spread your penis? You know what I'm saying? Because like a lot of women, especially if they got what they got, in the 18, 19 years, and they've been with them until they like 30s, you know what I'm saying? And they all didn't. I've not heard a story yet where he didn't just go, he went community dick at one time. I mean, do you feel that this is a natural thing, or what do you feel? What
That's just how we was born. I mean, if they can say it, like, no, no, no. Honestly, it's the biological imperative, honestly. But the truth is that to we don't have to give in to it. Like, um, the woman that I married was a virgin, and I abstained from having sex for 2 years, right? And then get in this relationship to find that we're not sexually compatible, right? So, like, it was a period where that was one of the
How
driving
are
forces.
you? How are you not? I mean, you a dude. I mean, no offense, but how is a woman not sexually? I mean, was she not? I mean, what happened? Like, how are
She
you
was a
not sexually
virgin.
compatible?
She was a virgin.
But that's what I'm saying. So it's like you got a whole clean slate. Like, they call that moldable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, it.
It was
This
too much
it,
teaching. Was it too much responsibility? Like, how
no,
was
it
that?
was it was the fact that she wasn't. It wasn't like, sex don't just happen when you start having sex, right?
Intimacy?
Right. There was that no spark. That wasn't there. Also, um, it wasn't pleasant for her. So she had to start drinking just to, like, so it didn't allow us to really connect for real. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then it was like a duty, a responsibility, you know what I'm saying? And she had to labor through, you know what I'm saying? Like, because, it hurt or whatever, and so, and then on top of that, it was like she wasn't a sex kitten, you know what I'm saying, or none of that type of shit, so she didn't really do it for me like that. Early on, when we was dating, we used to mess around, like, like petting and stuff like that, but she cut that off because she felt convicted in her, as a Christian woman. And so so we cut all that off, and the spark died. And so then we get married, and we supposed to just pick it back up, and it just wasn't there, on top of all the other issues that happened, and so, like, I went and started spreading around penis. I can't even lie. But it was after I realized that she wasn't going, like I wasn't happy in the relationship. So now I'm not going to be unhappy and not sexually satisfied. I at least
I
can be
was
getting.
gonna say though, do you think that the lack of intimacy was because, you know what I'm saying, by the time that you guys actually got married, it wasn't that same like
No, it wasn't right, and it had become of like,
was it like
like
out of obligation?
get this monkey off my back. You know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and get married so we can start a real relationship finally. And then we got married, and that's the trick. You know what I'm saying? Like that, it make a lot of sense. Like like you can string a nigga along a long way. You know what I'm saying? Like all the way to the altar. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then get there, and it's like, wait a minute, wait, what is the relationship actually built on? Right? Is it built on, like a quest? like a journey to get to some destination? Like that's not what we supposed to be building, right? Like, and so it didn't work, and my life was falling apart right as we was trying to build the marriage, you know what I'm saying? And so that relationship was supposed to be my anchor and the thing that held me down, but it was the first thing that withered away in the you know what I'm saying, in the debris, in the wreckage. It just gone, up in smoke. And so we were married for quite a long time before we actually got a divorce, but the relationship had been dead in the water before we even had kids. Like the kids was kind of actually a consolation prize, to be honest, and I love them with all my heart, and I wouldn't, I wouldn't change nothing, because I couldn't imagine a, a life having not had them. But we wasn't ready. Period. We wasn't ready.
I hate Kevin Hart for that, because now every time Kevin Hart with it.
So that's important. Preparation.
That is, that's important, and thank you for that perspective. Thank you for sharing, because I wouldn't even thought about it like that. Like, you wait, and then, you get married, and it's like, that shit's supposed to be exciting. It's like, nigga, what you working with? Let's see what's going on. Like, what's happening?
It was literally anticlimactic. And it ain't no diss to her.
No, not at all.
No, not in any way. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, she
Take
thought she was doing everything the right way.
Yeah.
And that's what they taught her, and
Exactly.
that shit got us in a lot of trouble listening to what they taught her. But like, hey, live and learn.
Oh, well, I just want to take this time to let you know that I appreciate you, and I am shocked. Okay, in a positive way. You know what I'm saying? I expected this to be like juicy, because we was gonna be at it, because we don't agree. And turns out we agree on a lot of stuff. That
no, what you see online is me stirring the pot. Like, and I gotta speak for people who don't necessarily have a voice too. Like, and then I really like, I know that people, like people love juicy, controversial shit. So I like to get attention with that, but it's really, I use that as like to bring people into the dialogue, you know what I'm saying? So we can actually get down to some shit for real, but like people like messy shit. So
they do, they love it. They love it.
Get a little messy.
And I'm not gonna lie, my life's a movie. We gotta be honest about the drama, especially women. You gotta be honest about it. You know what I'm saying? And until we get honest about the fact that we do like a certain amount of drama. You know what I'm saying? It's only then that you can transmute that energy to something that's more beneficial for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Instead of transmuting that energy into something that's low vibrational. So we got to be honest about that.
Yeah, I'm all about that. You got to harness the energy. You got to meet people where they at. You got to speak people's language. But like what a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. That's my philosophy.
I'm sugar. No, but yes,
I'm a sugar daddy.
Let me stop, because my child's father. Look, we call my baby sugar mama. He gonna be like,
Right.
I'm just playing. I'm just
No,
playing. He will
that's
not.
what I got me a young tender, so she be trying to do that. So you my sugar daddy. Listen.
Look how she's young. I'm nosy.
Yeah, no, she 30. But you know what I'm saying? Like I'm a young 42. So, like the age gap is
No,
a
and I think, for men, I think that's cool because, men can do that. I think, because of the difference of the sex. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, dating a 30-year-old, no,
oh no,
I'm
no,
straight.
no, he ain't in the right place in his life. like,
Like,
like
nigga,
and,
do you know how hard your penis get yet? Like, what? You don't even know.
niggas, like, and that's the whole thing is like, it's levels, it's levels to the shit. And women, and everybody, the biological clock and all this type of thing. But you know what I'm saying? Like men and sex, you know what I'm saying, and chasing that is such a big dynamic, a big part that when you remove that, you understand, like out of the way, then now is when we can start having a real conversation about what the fuck we want and what we want to do, and like, like dating a younger woman, like it's perfect for me because like I don't have to, you don't have to have that fight for, for control. Certain things like, she just understands that I got a little bit more experience, like, and so, you know, we want our women to submit, and it's easier when there's more reasons for them to do so. Like, you clearly having a little bit more life experience than them, like, so that, like women want you to be, women want a man that's done more, that can tell them what, some shit, or teach them and all that. And so,
How
that's
submission thing is hilarious. I mean,
you
we
said
probably
what?
talk a submission thing. We probably talk about a whole nother hour on this
Yeah,
shit.
well, we get to that a different time,
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah. Because what I don't really, and then some women gonna be mad at me again. But I don't really think it's I think it's just a natural way of being. I feel like what men call submissive to me is just a woman's
it's just
like role.
womanhood. Like, yeah,
It's just womanhood. Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, the whole, the whole fight is really just about, like, you know um we use these terms and these words to try to control how people behave, really. You know what I'm saying? Like, hoes, for example, calling women hoes. Now, we know that it is hoes, right? It is women who say sex workers, right? Prostitutes, hostesses is what that word evolved from. Hostesses. Their job was to keep men occupied and happy and comfortable when they was in these gentlemen's clubs and these type of things. It was hostesses, right? That's a natural, like, I want women to make me feel, like, so that's not a thing to be frowned upon. But
Well,
we
then now
start
I'm a
using
big
that.
hoe. Because when people come to my house, I pride myself on that being a great hostess.
Exactly, right. That's
Like
what they used
you
to
gotta
call
let
them,
me know when you
hostesses.
come in. So we got some food ready. You know what I'm saying? What do you like to drink? And that's male or female. That's just because you're coming into my home. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And then when we start calling, women who, was unattached to men hoes, like in the streets, so because we wanted to use that to, to shame them into behaving the way that we think they should behave, but based on our standards, of suitability and morality and shit, and so it's all, and I think that's just another example of that, using, a word, submissive, or, like, provider, like these types of things is like, these things not absolute, like some women is actually aroused by being dominant in the bedroom, right? So, what I'm saying, like, so you gonna punish that woman, what I'm saying, like, because she don't, what I'm saying, like, is she submissive enough? If she listens to when you say do something, but she like to get on top, is she not submissive? Like, what I'm saying? What is, what I'm saying? Like, it's about knowing. That's the reason why you got to know yourself. right? Because you're not gonna know what you want out here. You're not gonna be able to come to nobody and have no compact with them, no a social agreement about how you're gonna, operate in this relationship because you don't know what the fuck you want or how you view things or how you want to be viewed, so that's why that you got that age requirement make a lot of sense
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you
I think
own
so.
some with that. But then that's again telling people what the fuck they can do, and we know that don't really.
No, but as you said, like to treat others how you want to be treated. You know what I'm saying? That's telling you what to do, but it is for the betterment
Of
of
everyone, right?
all.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And if we're all, you don't have to do it, but then look at what happens when you don't.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And so if that was a stipulation, where we're encouraging or influencing ones to, wait until around their 30 somethings to actually start looking for a spouse, versus in your, and in your 20s, we're not saying, don't have relationships. What we're saying is date and not take things so seriously. Have a good time,
Mhm.
in your 20s.
Now,
And
the pushback to that though is that are we going to have more children out of wedlock because nobody was even considering getting married in their horniest years, so that's the question we have to ask now, and if that's the best thing for everybody, right? If we got this institution, right, where the rules in the institution is we not gonna bless none of y'all unions unless y'all of this age, right? Then everybody gonna have these unblessed unions because people not gonna stop. You know,
yeah, I don't think it should be that. You know what I'm saying? I think it's one of those deals where no, I don't feel like I think we would have less undesired births because there's a consciousness that comes on with that realization
right?
that
Like I'm not at the marrying stage, so I'm not at the birthing stage.
that my focus is to learn who I am and what I want and what I really do like. And so these experiences, because as you say, with the rules, you're being taught the whys. You know what I'm saying? And so with the rules comes along with this is why to understand yourself, and that creates excitement. Like if somebody would have told me that, at 18, you know what I'm saying? Like you can delve into yourself and know yourself so fucking much that it's an excitement with everyday life. You can live every day excited and full of joy and present and in the moment. Like what? You know what I'm saying? And this is how I get there. And then on the way to getting there, I'm meeting so many interesting beings that are reflections of where I am at, and I'm knowing this. And then so if I'm not, really feeling that being to top tier, then I know, okay, there's still some more levels. And usually by the time you figure it out that like, yo, this being is top tier. I'm honoring myself and this motherfucker is honoring me. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And then so I think there's a consciousness that goes along with that.
Yeah, intentionality. Yeah,
Yeah.
you being more and so yeah, I could see that. I could see that there might be less you know, unwanted pregnancies because people not putting themselves in a position because
Right.
you're making a
You're
more
not out here
intentional
looking for
decision.
love and looking for daddy and all of that because you're working through it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? You're working through these self issues. And so you're not getting, like a lot of these women and I have previous interviews where women are out here and they're honest. They're spilling their fucking guts and they're being vulnerable and they like, "Yeah, I used to be a hoe or I used to be a prostitute." And when I ask them why, a lot of them because they had daddy issues or
Mm,
whether it was daddy wasn't right or daddy wasn't there or you know what I'm saying, looking for love, and that was the
mhm.
way that they could get that attention. So
Yeah, they
that's what
need a
they
validation, right?
the validation. And so that's what they were doing. You know what I'm saying? And so now if we reset that and make it cool and popular for you to get inside and really get to know yourself and fixing your shit, then it's like glory. Oh, when you see this being that's like, yo.
Yeah, I mean, like that, like that's the whole thing. Is like um being a fully developed human, like you know, I know that I was not whole when I got married, and I thought that the marriage was what was necessary to make me whole, that I was going to go out and get these things in the world when I was supposed to get experience from the world, but I was supposed to go and seek within, like seek understanding of who I am and what my purpose is and my goal. And so like all of that happened in the rubble, on the backlash of a failure, as opposed to, like on a clear foundation where I could build something healthy. And so now I'm making up, like I was not, it was a period of time where I wasn't even suitable after that because I had too much baggage from that shit and it was too much of it unresolved. Right. And so I couldn't even really, it put me behind on doing the work for self because I had to get all this extra shit of me that I put on top of me before I even started looking for me, you know? And so, like at the end of the day, like, you know, it's a lot of factors, things that go ignored that contribute to this, like people being healthy mentally and emotionally, a certain level of maturity, a certain level of experience, having mentorship, having models, examples, of what we're supposed to see, but it ain't no substitute for experience. It's the best teacher, and so you want to learn from your experiences, the experiences of others, and that's one of the things that's helped me have the perspective I have because I'm a much better partner in this relationship than I've been in any of the relationships that I've been in because I went through all the necessary trials to get to this point.
Wow. Okay. All right. So we got couples or prospective couples or people that are feeling each other like that should sit down and have an open end conversation about what roles should be and what they look like. Another thing that we throwing in there is the age factor.
Yeah.
Maybe let's
Yeah,
not
because some
be.
people not even mature enough to do that. You got to have a certain level of maturity to see number one.
And then so maybe we got this age requirement thing, you know what I'm saying? Where maybe you should just explore, get to know yourself, and go on some dates and do all that in your 20s and then maybe in your 30s. You know what I'm saying? Start once you have figured out what it is you genuinely are interested in, what you desire, what your purpose is. When you have that strong sense of purpose, and this is why I am here, and this is who I am, then maybe that is your go ahead to start getting out to that next chapter with
Yeah,
your
because
children
you need that perspective and that understanding, like to even have an idea, like to narrow the shit down, like because there's a lot of directions to go out there, but until you decided your purpose, you can't decide like form follow function. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna get a woman based on or a man based on the purpose that they supposed to serve in your life. And so I went and got a woman who was supposed to serve a purpose that really wasn't for my life, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, and so if I would have had a better understanding of what that was, then I would have more discernment in choosing that woman, at any age, right? But so yeah, that's a big thing.
and the respect for each other.
Yeah.
And the loving on one each other. And you kept saying one thing that is so crucial and so vital is accountability. We are not taking accountability. And I'm speaking because this is so important and I'm not downing anybody because I'm also talking to the males, but mostly the females right now is this bitter shit. I'm mad at my baby daddy, so he can't come see the kids or he can't be around my kids because he treated me like XYZ. But at the end of the day, where's your accountability? because who are you that you attracted this being? So now it's time to stop pointing the finger at him and point it at yourself. And what is it inside of you that you need to work on? What is it inside of you that attracted this being that you feel like is treating you so unworthy, and all this other BS? But in the meantime, there is a reason. Nothing in this reality is without reason or purpose. There is a reason that you created a fucking portal in which life came through with this individual. So it is important that the child is in their father's life, regardless of what your dynamic was with that individual. It's important.
Yeah.
It's very that's important.
Definitely. I mean, and I can speak to that, right now, because obviously my situation, I'm in a terrible place right now, with my the mother of my first children, and then a lot of it is because of that. But at this point, like I knew what I know what I did, to get myself to this. So now it's really, I can look forward to what I'm going to do in the future to correct the situation, instead of pointing fingers or trying to penalize somebody, or anything like that. And so that's what I encourage anybody to do. Like, the solution to all of your problems is period.
You have all the answers. And thank you for saying that, because you're also promoting my business, you know, uh and at coaching, that's what coaches are to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a therapist. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Even though people with the same issues can come see me, but the answers are all inside of you. And so what I do is help you pull them out. That's it. And that's my purpose. So I have a very strategic way of doing it. It's something that's innate, it's something natural. And then giving you the validation that you need to remind you of who you are and how powerful you are as a being.
That's important.
Period. So I think that as men and women start to remember who we are and turn in and find our purpose, that will all contribute to us having a better dynamic, a better balance between the male and female dynamic,
Yeah.
regardless of
And
what sex parts you have, whatever
right.
energy you're expressing,
Right. Exactly.
that it be
And I
balanced.
mean, and that, based on all the research that I've done, it's going to lead to healthier relationships, which lead to stronger families, which lead to safer and more productive communities, and so on and so on, and so, like those, that's crucial. Those are the first dominoes right there, male and female dynamics. So it's never going to be a time where this conversation shouldn't be at the forefront.
Exactly. So I do. We went longer than I expected. I do. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate your time, how much I appreciate you. I love you, brother. I think I've known you more than half my life and everything. So I do appreciate your time. I appreciate um just your vulnerability and your openness and your perspectives. It is
Well,
very,
thank you.
very much appreciated. I can't say that enough.
Well, no, I appreciate your appreciation, and I want to applaud you for what you're doing. Like helping people is why we here. And these type of things, like what you do, I think everybody needs that. In some form or another. Like is so it's important. Um, you know, for us to have people who objectively are going to help us find ourselves, and get us to ask ourselves the right questions, and get us to look at our shit, and encourage us, and remind us that we matter, so
Yeah.
hats off to you, and you, everybody that you help and thrive, and I hope that this can contribute to that in some way.
Oh, definitely. This is a big deal. This is a big This is a huge discussion. It's going on right now all over the world, not just in the United States, but all over the world. This unbalance of masculine and feminine energy. It's all over the
Definitely.
world.
Yeah,
And
it is.
these youngins are coming in and their perspective, they don't even know how to think. You know
Yeah,
what
no,
I'm saying? But to
it's
follow
being shaped
suit,
by memes and shit.
and everybody wearing the same tatted wig on their head, and that's what they think. You know what I'm saying? Everybody looking the same. Like that's a
Yeah,
uniform.
yeah, it
Okay?
is. It
The
is.
same. You
Yeah.
know?
That,
I do appreciate you. I want you to have a beautiful night. Kiss that baby, kiss that girl, kiss your family, love on them, and
mm.
may that energy transform to us all.
you God bless you, Goddess. I really appreciate you having me on, and look forward to us doing this again sometime.
Oh, we will be doing this soon. I like the way we vibe. I like the way we politic, and we got some other shit to talk about. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Plenty of shit.
All right. So thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the You Thrive Everyday show. And so we do appreciate your time, and we will see y'all again later. Peace.